allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So members present tonight, we have Mike Beecher, Bob Jones, Jessica Van Ort is online, Perry Brown and Rich Hewlett, and I am Kristen Powers. And everybody in the audience, hello. There's a sign-in sheet back there. You're welcome to sign in, and if you would like to participate this evening, also for those of you online, always address Mike Beecher. He's the chair of the board. And if you are here anonymously online, you can just identify who you are if you decide to participate.
Okay, thank you. Any addition?
So there's one addition. I sent it around this morning just because I forgot to add it, but Rebecca's here from the Rutland Habitat for Humanity. She had requested to be on several weeks ago. So that's on the agenda, but it was not originally distributed. So.
How about the minutes?
So the minutes that need approval are from June 27th.
I'll move to approve those minutes.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Jessica?
I'm having a very hard time hearing, I'm sorry. But I think if it's for moving to approve the minutes, I would say yes.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see if I can turn the volume up.
Gotta remember not to forget her.
Just gonna crank it up all the way, so I'm sorry if anybody gets blasted out. Okay.
Pre-requested. Give Mach.
You've seen
I
this?
think at the
Extra.
last meeting that I was at, there was some confusion on what I would like to see for taking some pressure off the parking in front of Mac's Market. Number one, Mac's Market was a hotel started construction in 1804 and completed in 1808, and it's been street parking since then. And there was a short stretch of time from 2015 to 2020 when I was renovating the store, and there was basically nobody parking in the front. Since I've opened, we've been busy, and I made a copy of what I proposed for the parking, and everybody should have a copy of that. I left some extra copies up there. There's a no parking from the corner down about halfway through the pizza area, which involves a pretty big radius, and it's well within the fog line that the state had there, which means that's basically my parking anyways. The town and the state have no right of way there. I do understand that the town has paved that for years, but Nancy Morlino came to me first and suggested that maybe we put some parking lines in so we could identify. And right now people can just pull up and be haphazard about it. And if we paint some lines in, it'll designate where people should be parking. I've got an area for unloading and then I've got 4 diagonal parking and 1 parallel parking in front of the store. They start out at 18 feet long, which is generally 9 foot by 18 foot. I'm going 10 foot by 18 in the beginning, and they go down to like 15 foot for a compact or subcompact vehicle the further down School Street you get. And then at the very end, I've got a 10 foot by 21 foot for anyone with the longer length pickups and bigger SUVs, so they can park in there. The town fire department on the Pawlet side has striping equipment to paint the lines, and I propose that I would make the Pawlet Fire Department a donation if they would paint the lines. This is pending approval of the select board. Any questions?
Anybody on the board? I mean, Rich, you and Jessica went and talked.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been looking
Yeah.
all over and.
We did, yeah, and I mean, this seems very reasonable, and I mean, being built back in the 1800s, the early 1800s, I'm not really sure what grounds we have other than to support this and see what, how it works. And I think the nice thing about this being Gibbs' design is he's gonna police it as well. He's gonna make sure that there's not cars parking, the way they shouldn't in this parallel spot. As opposed to if we come up with something, that maybe he doesn't agree with 100%, it may not be as easy for him to police that. I think it's worth a try.
Yep.
Mike, if I may, I also would like to, in that no parking zone, I would encourage the select board to consider widening that area, starting out maybe about 18 inches to 2 feet, and bring the highway in a little bit wider through there so you have a better egress, and we can pave and get rid of the erosion problem up around the corner. That is town land, what I call the town park. And we can bring all the runoff water right into the storm drain that is there, which is a state storm drain. And I think that would really ease the flow of traffic better and eliminate parking across the road.
Yeah, that's the other issue. This is fine here on this side of your store, but we need to take care of that on the
And
other side.
then we can put a fog line, no parking, stripe that, repave that area so that it takes all that street water that comes off from Route 30, because it comes right around there. And we can contain that water and go into the storm
Send
drain.
it to the DI.
In the winter, it becomes a real icy situation because the water doesn't always make it to the drain. It comes off the street in sheets. And my house across the road, what I call the lower house building, I put a gutter system in, and I've tried to do my best to keep runoff from my buildings to run in across the street as well. Okay?
Mike, if I may?
Yes.
The property across the road that we're talking about, that parking spot, that's town property,
That's town
correct?
property. It's what we always call the town park. There used to be a bandstand there, and they used to have concerts there.
On that little
On
piece?
that little green. Because everybody would line up in front of the hotel and listen to concerts.
And there's a DI right there in the,
Yep.
Now, is that something, that's something we need to do right away, because we could do that with our proposal. If we do the town plan, we could actually maybe incorporate that in
And
here.
that- I
To
think-
redo that up around the corner there.
And then I didn't mark in here, but I also talked to Rich and Jessica about when you come in to leave out of Route 30, or one School Street to get onto Route 30, that you swing off to the right, and I suggest painting lines there that tells you where to pull up and stop so you can get onto Route 30. Because when people go straight, it impedes parking for people pulling in from any direction. But when they're pulling out, they pull up to the right, and you can see north and south, and then you can pull out much safer. I also suggested maybe a light system where they'd be like over at Route 30 by Brown's stand there they have on Route 30 where Rice Willis Road and the North Road is, and they have flashing lights at Warren. But the state won't do anything there because we haven't had fatalities or major incidents at that intersection. And to me, we ought to be more proactive than reactive in that situation.
Mike, I just want to bring up one more point. In this whole plan, Gibb also has a design right here for parking out behind the store that will eventually relieve, the need for the parking in the front of the store there as well. So, I mean, there is a plan and design there that he is working on.
Yep.
That's all approved by the state highway department. I haven't gotten to it. I do have the permit, but I'd have to renew the permit to do that.
So that's basically a shovel-ready project, once you renew it.
It would be. I think it would take no time to renew the permit.
Does anybody have any questions or comments on this project? So Gibb is proposing that he paints, has the fire department paint those lines in the front and adjust that edge of the road so that the water will stay maintained and go to the storm drain there and alleviate the parking that's rogue on that side of the road.
Correct.
So, how does the board feel about this project?
I had a question.
Excuse me?
I had a question.
Yes.
It's striping on the bridge, right?
Yes.
There's no parking? Are you just gonna continue that striping right around to where you're
Kind of like that, only where the striping stops, I want to mark this and mark it like is on the bridge where it says no parking.
Yeah, so I mean,
This whole corner up here.
if you
right?
came around the corner of the bridge, just continue that. That's all I was concerned about.
Frank?
Sounds good. I was just wondering if Jessica could comment, if we can hear her, it would affect the funding of that project that's currently in that same neighborhood on Route 30. You got that?
We're not scheduled for this portion, for the School Street portion of Route 30 yet, so it's something that we'll need to deal with now. Jessica, do you have any comments on any of this?
I think that Rich covered it pretty well about this conversation that he and I had with Gibb the other day. I think that this solution works out pretty well, and marking off the no parking right in front of the pizza area will fit in nicely with our sidewalk project. Have the crosswalk will be crossing Route 30 directly at that spot. So that will keep people from crossing Route 30 directly into parked cars, so that'll be good. That's my thought on it.
Okay, thank you. Tom?
I have noticed that you unload your wood and you backed up to the front of that, so.
Right. It's not there. We back in at a different angle there, Tom, for that. And that's below the no parking.
So here.
This is where the patio,
Yep.
and halfway below the pizza,
Gotcha.
this is the corner of the store. So
Yep. That's all.
that's the way I propose for that.
So is there any more discussion, or?
No, this part here, let's go with this part for right now, and
I'll move to have Gibb move ahead with getting the lines painted and see how it works out. Now, the other thing we're gonna have to address is, I'm assuming it's gonna be on our shoulders, is the parking on the other side of the road.
Right. And I think if, like you said, if we pave that so that the water stays where it's supposed to, and then in that process of paving that will alleviate that parking space. And
I would even suggest maybe a curb through there
So
and
that-
bring the lawn back where it should be
to keep it in place, so it'll make it not a good spot to park anyway, so.
Because with my proposal, there should be plenty of room for passing through.
Okay. Marty?
I think Gibby's idea about putting a curb in and maybe getting some lawn, just make the whole area look a lot better. I looked at his layout and looks good to me. But, you know, that area that the town owns can be enhanced for very little. Just get a curb, plant some grass.
Okay. So you have the motion on the floor, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any more discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Jessica?
Hi.
Aye, okay, thank you. Motion carried. Yep, thank you very much for providing us with all this material and information. Oh, yes.
One more thing, I'd like to maybe, further down the road in August or so, that we discuss this other area for putting some electric vehicle charging stations in down, I think it's, let's see.
This is it.
Yeah, it's right along, right
Oh,
in
this,
here is
the
where
new
they
park,
would be.
the new parking area?
Yeah, and these are gonna be ADA parking spots, and these will be for electric
EVs.
vehicle charging.
And just show Mike where the barn restaurant would be in reference to that.
That is, okay.
Right up here, right?
Yeah, that's like right over here
Yeah,
on this
okay.
side of the road. So this is my entrance, will be the entrance to the parking here.
Okay.
I'd like to keep this copy, but when we go to do a proposal for more,
Right.
I will provide whatever we need if we want to do discussion on that for that point. Okay?
All right. Well,
Yeah,
thank you very
we'll keep you informed if we can get anything through
Yeah.
that guy, or, you know.
All right,
Great.
thank you.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
One quick thing about that, an email just came around about a grant. There's some grant funding that is available for electric vehicle charging stations.
Mhm.
So I'll send it to you,
Okay,
and we can look into it and see what the timing's like, so
All right.
that would be a cool way to tie that in.
thank you. All right, Chris. Thank you.
Thanks, Gib.
Okay, and now. Rutland Habitat for Humanity. Rebecca?
Well, I was gonna start,
Okay.
I asked Rebecca to be here because, you know, since the West Pawlet revitalization, project that Michael did, the subject of affordable housing in West Pawlet has come up. I've been volunteering with Habitat for Humanity for several years now, and that's what they do, is affordable housing. And I know that we don't have any set schedule or anything for this, but I wanted Rebecca to come and just let you know what Habitat does, what they need, what they offer, just so that everybody would have an understanding of it when the time comes. So, Rebecca?
Thanks, Jennifer. Thank you all for having me tonight. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, fine, thank you.
All right. So, Habitat for Humanity is a shared equity housing program. And essentially what that means is that we target first-time home buyers that are working on owning their home for the first time, working on credit, keeping their debt load low, saving money, but that the current market is outpacing their ability to save and to purchase a home affordably. So Habitat will come up alongside them, and using volunteer labor, we build our homes, we rehab homes also on occasion when we are given one that's already in existence. And we come in, we build them, or we rehab them for what it would be significantly less on the outside market. And because of that and some grants that we also receive, we're able to offer housing at a more affordable rate. All of our homeowners are required to have a mortgage.
So they do pay for their homes. They build credit this way. They will build equity in their homes. And the reason it's called a shared equity model is that all of our homes maintain their affordability for a lifetime. And in order to do that, we partner with the homeowners that we retain 75% of the equity in case it ever sells again, so that our homeowners are not benefiting from all the volunteer labor and donations of a community, but they will be able to build up some equity of their own, build up some credit, and hopefully move out into a more conventional type situation where they would have a maybe a larger home or a more expensive home, and then the home would then pass on to the next family that is trying to basically build their roots a little stronger in our community. So that kind of sums up what Habitat does in general. But to get back just to the volunteer piece, what helps us stay affordable is we do use an extensive volunteer base to build our homes, and we also receive a considerable amount of community support through what we call gifts in kind and donation of materials and or labor. So that allows us to build our homes in a way that maintains its affordability for over time. So when Jennifer reached out to me, she kind of gave me just a brief overview that you guys were potentially thinking about adding an affordable home piece to your revitalization project. And I just wanted to kind of explain what we do. And then I wanted to open it up to any kind of questions you may have, because I find sometimes that answering questions actually gets to where you actually want to go, instead of me just kind of explaining to you what we do. So I'm going to open it up, and if you have any questions, I'd be glad to explain something more in depth if you need me to.
Anybody have it?
Go ahead.
I was asking if anyone had any questions. Go ahead,
One
Jennifer.
of the things, maybe Rebecca talk about the, like donating land, as opposed to Habitat buying it, because that does help keep the price. Rebecca and I were talking at the house that I've been helping with most recently in Manchester. We didn't have, Habitat did not have to pay for the land. And the house with volunteer labor and with reduced price building materials and appliances is still upwards of $200,000 for a 1,200 square foot home. So that's an important piece as well. If you have anything to add, Rebecca.
Well, Jennifer's absolutely right. We do tend to hopefully receive land if we're building new as a donation. Our current homes were donated to us in Rutland City by the Housing Authority as part of the Hickory Street project when they redid the old Forest Park. And we're building 3 single-family homes on those properties. And we are looking, you know, at that $200,000 to $260,000 mark to build these, you know, 1,200 to 1,600 foot homes that are being built on this land. We've also redone homes that were given to us at a considerably below market rate. We had a house in Fairhaven that was donated to us for pennies on the dollar, really, and we came in and rehabbed it, and that allowed us to keep our costs down. So whenever we're approached with a project, or we approach vacant land or a home that might be sitting, part of the stuff that we look at is the cost of what it is to secure the property. If there's an existing structure on it, will it be rehabbed, or is it going to be a tear down? And if it's virgin land, we will be looking at infrastructure. So if we're building in a city, hooking to sewer and water in a city is a lot easier than if you're putting in, say, a septic system in a well. That involves perking and digging wells and putting in the leach fields. So these are all things that we look at when we price out a potential project. And we will tend to work with a donor or a city if they were looking at a project, like right now, we're working with Rutland City to look at potential partnering with them around some of their plans to bring in affordable housing and how we can partner with them as a home ownership piece. And so we look at all this as part of the project to make sure that we can meet our mission statement of providing affordable housing, but also working within the existing inventory and the city plan. So that kind of is the answer to that.
Thank you.
Frank?
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, excuse me.
Hi. In West Pawlet, which is the affordable housing area of town specifically, over the years we've had a number of homes that have come up on tax sale, and the town ended up owning it and listing that. Conversely, instead of doing that model, they could turn to you and have you take over that structure and put it into this shared equity model where you retain the equity, so it still would remain affordable housing in the future. Houses generally be in pretty good shape, but some fixing up probably. But then that would keep the cost down for future transfer to new owners in that affordable housing model. Am I correct with that?
Yes, in a very general way, that is exactly correct. If a town was going to be offering a piece of property to us that they had bought back in a tax sale or secured it back, and we might, get it for either $1 or a straight donation of turning it over to us with no liens encumbered on it. Then we would take a look, before that happens, what's it going to entail for us to actually bring it back up to a livable state. So when for instance, when Rutland City now is looking at some properties that are pretty much derelict, as to whether or not giving it to Habitat as rehab, or will the city simply raise the property and we're going to get the land. So those are discussions that we have frequently with the city planners here in Rutland as we look at what we're developing in the infrastructure and, like I said, what's already existing, and trying to bring that affordable piece into more of the neighborhoods. And because our homeowners, and I'd like to stress, is we hold 75% of the equity in a resale. When we sell the home originally, first time to the new homeowners, we come in and we come up with a mortgage for them that cannot exceed 30% of their total monthly income. That's how we make it affordable. So we'll take the total income for our potential homeowner, and depending on what 30% is, we cannot exceed that for their total mortgage payment, and that includes principal, interest, principal, insurance, and real estate taxes. In past circumstances for habitats, and especially for Rutland County, I can speak for, we have always held our own mortgages, which means we offer a 0% interest rate on all of our mortgages, and we manage them. And so our homeowners pay us back on a monthly basis over the next 30 years on average. And then at resale, if we do, which like currently we're reselling one of our homes, if the appraisal shows that the property has increased significantly, say it goes up 100,000 from what they originally bought it for, we would retain 74. That's how we help them build equity for a sustainable future for them. And so what I was getting at is, when we look at a mortgage and making it affordable, and we hold it, we're able to come in and reduce a mortgage to where it's affordable for our homeowners. That being said, Rutland County Habitat is going to be moving into what we consider conventional mortgages now. It will still be a shared equity model, but we're gonna be asking our homeowners to actually go through a third party to get a mortgage so that we can start to recoup some of our building costs a little quicker than 30 years so that we can build more frequently. So this is a model that Habitat International is encouraging us to look at now so that we can meet the growing costs of what it is to build a home and also the growing need for homes in our communities across the country. So we're going into a little bit of new territory. So keeping the land or the donation of a home to us that we have to rehab as close to zero as possible is really the goal here, so that when we're able to ask our potential homeowners to go out and get a conventional mortgage that may have interest attached to it, we can still bring that in under that 30% of their total income. So looking at that is going to be more important now than it's ever been for us, to really look at the total initiation cost for that, you know, the acquisition of a property at the beginning. So,
Frank?
The taxes would be brought in under that 30%. Would also fees, like sewer fees, be also included under that 30%?
well, if you have, like in Rutland City, we have water and sewer, as well as real estate. But when we do the 30%, the 30% does not include water and sewer. That goes under what we consider ongoing costs for the maintenance of a home, because they fluctuate more often. And that comes in under another percentage of a 43% that we have to not exceed, and that's the debt to income ratio. So we have to look at what the total costs of owning a home will be for a homeowner, and make sure that with their current debt that they're carrying coming into the situation, that having a home is not going to push them over that 43%. The mission and vision for Habitat is to help people become sustainable for home ownership going into the future. And they really are a hand-up organization that wants people to have that dream of home ownership, which is definitely the American dream, but they want them to be able to keep their homes and not have to go into foreclosure or sell their homes because they couldn't afford them. So we really do ask our homeowners to concentrate on keeping their debt to income ratio extremely low so that they can successfully manage owning a home.
Harley?
Probably could be a question. How is the home assessed for property taxes? Is it fair market value on an open market, or the market value given the financing structure that you're describing?
It is based on the open market. We use a third-party appraiser. Will come in and appraise our property based on market value for the area. And then, and I can only speak to Rutland City on this, but when we currently appraise our homes, we use Sargent Appraisals, which is a very reputable company here in the area. And the city knows that that value is generally what the city's also going to consider the value of that home. So they'll very closely look at our appraisal and they'll take it into consideration. It's a heavy weight. And so our homes appraise for the city purposes for real estate taxes very much in line with our third-party appraisal. And it's all done on comps in the area, what everybody else is, you know, selling their homes for. But because there's so little new construction in our area, sometimes it can be a little difficult, but homes have appraised so high now that, and they're seeing it across the country, that real estate taxes are really pushing homes out of the affordability category just based on the taxes alone. So what we're trying to do here in Rutland County is we're building small, modest, first-time home buyer homes. So our homes are no more than 1,150 square feet, one floor, no basement, We have a crawl space here in Rutland for mechanicals and things like that. Ducting and stuff goes through that. No attic space, and 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. So these are, you know, very modest, first-time home buyer, you know, type homes, trying to keep the cost as close to that 200,000 as we possibly can, because everybody knows that, you know, the cost of materials since pandemic has skyrocketed, and building a home is not cheap. So we want to make sure that we can continue to get families into homes that are affordable, and so we are building to suit now that first time, you know, modest home buyer, and that's what we're trying to do. And we're building very efficiently. Our last home rated, just to anybody who knows what the energy efficiency, we rated a 41. And the closer you get to 0, the better. So 41 is really good. So we're very excited. And our current home is all concrete. So we're moving into a model now of building homes quicker and very efficient, so that running them and keeping them is going to be a lot less expensive for our homeowners moving forward. So it's a very exciting time here in Rutland, and if any of you guys get up here, you got to come visit me out on Hickory Street. We're doing some exciting things here.
Thank you.
Frank?
There's some new stuff coming down the state where we're required in all our zones in Pawlet to have availability for duplex. They want to do multi-unit. Does Habitat for Humanity get involved with either rehabbing houses into multi-unit or standalone homes that are multi-unit?
We can basically any opportunity that fits a city's existing infrastructure. So duplexes, triplexes, people in, I know Chittenden, they're building condos as part of larger communities where there's an affordable housing piece. And kind of to give you like a little, you know, spoiler alert, Tiny Plus is something you're going to be hearing a little bit more of. And we're hoping to maybe prototype some of that here in Rutland because we're running out of space. But we've got a lot of people living here, or at least trying to live here. So we're looking and outside the box of how to bring people into smaller homes, but with more livability in them. So we're really looking at some unique design plans for families to embrace a Tiny Plus lifestyle, but still have a livable home for a family. And so we are exploring that avenue.
Tom has a question.
Yeah, you're discussing new construction, right? And at the beginning of your conversation, you spoke about rehabbing existing homes, correct? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What happens in a circumstance where the town donates a house to you, whatever the exchange is, for $1, and you only have to put in $50,000? Where does that $200,000 number go? Do you get to sell that house and keep it affordable at that rate of $50,000 from your investment into that house, or are you charging these people $200,000 flat rate?
Well, it would depend on what the appraisal value of the home comes out. So say it appraises at 200, but we're able to bring it up to livability for 50,000. That would be phenomenal if we could do that. Basically what that would do is it would allow us to choose a homeowner that with some flexibility as to what we would actually be able to charge them. So when we look at a home and we look at affordability, there's a piece in there that allows us to put in what we call a soft or silent mortgage. So it takes the appraisal value, say 200,000, but say the family can only afford 100,000. We could potentially subsidize a family down to an affordable amount, depending if they qualify and if their income is there. So being able to build or rehab a home for less out of pocket for us, gives us more flexibility on the back end to find a family that may not be able to afford as much. But what you have to remember too is Habitat for Humanity, we don't do low income housing, so you still have to be within 50 to 80% of the average median income for the county, depending on your family size, and that'll move anywhere from, you know, $35,000 for a single person up to $120,000 for like a family of 5. So there's a lot of factors that go into choosing what the actual final mortgage price or sale price will be to a family when all the numbers are done. So we have to look at their median income, we have to look at that 30% I talked to you about, and then we have to look at the debt income to ratio figures also. So I hope that answers your question a little bit more clear. There's just a lot of pieces to it.
So what, if you're already starting another model to have these potential home recipients get their own financing, acquire their third-party financing, correct? So what is stopping?
I didn't hear the first part. Say that again, please.
You're already suggesting another model, correct? That you're having your clients get a third-party financing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what's stopping them from purchasing the house with their own financing and getting a construction loan and doing the work themselves and keeping it affordable that way? So what's the benefit of going through you or them doing it? They're going to have to seek out their own financing and meet the criteria that it takes to buy a home anyway. What's the benefit of going through you?
Right, and you're absolutely correct that people can go and do it on their own, but we find that a lot of our homeowners, one, they don't have the cash in hand for a down payment that the banks are requiring. A lot of times their credit scores may not be as sufficient as a bank is looking for. It might not be in the 700s.
You're already suggesting they get their own financing anyway.
Let's say that again.
You're already suggesting that they get their own financing anyway, so they'd have to meet that criteria anyway, right?
Well, they're going to be working with us, and they're going to be working with lenders that work with Habitat. So we are building relationships here in Rutland County with banks that are HUD approved. So these are our banks that are familiar with folks that their credit score may not be as strong as someone who could potentially qualify for third-party conventional mortgage on their own. They may not have $20,000 in a down payment. They might only have $5,000.
So you subsidize
their
that down
income
payment?
on paper may look low for average median income, you know, $35,000, $40,000 for someone, you know, wanting to buy a house. A bank may say, I don't know about that. But when Habitat comes up alongside these families, it gives them a little bit more strength in their overall portfolio for what a bank feels they're capable of. Now, Chittenden Habitat has been using third-party mortgage lenders for quite some time. And that's why we are looking here in Rutland County on how to strengthen our building position by looking to some of our homeowners who may be a little bit more set up to do a third-party conventional mortgage to partner with us to move forward in testing this model to see how it works going forward for them and us. When we hold a mortgage for somebody in-house, they don't build credit. They don't have access to any first-time home buyer mortgage programs maybe offered through HUD or a credit union. But by allowing them to go third-party now, we are opening up opportunities for them to get maybe their closing costs paid for by grant. They're going to be strengthening their credit position for the future. And it also allows them to come in potentially with less money out of pocket to buy a brand new home, essentially, which most banks, if you're buying a brand new home or even a construction loan, they're requiring a significant amount of capital up front.
Okay, so we're running out of our allotted time, Rebecca. do you have anything you'd like to say for closing, or?
The only thing I would like to offer is that as you guys move forward in your plans for revitalization or adding an affordable housing piece to whatever plans you have moving forward, if you would want to invite us to the table. I know Jennifer had mentioned Manchester a couple of times because you guys kind of straddle very closely to both affiliates, even though you're under ours. So it might be beneficial to meet with us at some point, just to go over more of the details of what you're thinking and how we could partner successfully together, Habitat and the Pawlet community. So that's all. Just thanks for letting me be here tonight. Thanks for letting me talk about what we do. Habitat's a phenomenal organization, and anything we can do to assist you guys, even, if it's just to answer questions, please let me know, okay?
Thank you very much for joining us. Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you. Good night.
Right. Any announcements, Kristen? Zoning Administrators report? Nancy, do you have anything for us tonight?
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to advise you of is there was a DRB hearing on June 28th for a conditional use permit. And there is another one scheduled for next week, also a conditional use permit on July 19th. And that's all I have.
Great. Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions for Nancy? No. Planning Commission, is there a report from the Planning Commission?
Um,
Go ahead, Jessica. You have service, Jessica?
You're muted.
Muted, okay.
There's no report at this meeting.
Okay.
No report.
Thank you. Road Foreman's report.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of things. So the road crew's been working on putting slate on Waite Hill Road, and they should finish that up hopefully by the end of next week. And we've got some pricing. So we got prices on 2 different trucks. We got pricing on a Freightliner and pricing on International. I'm still waiting. So you're going to see some net values here. And with the International, I haven't gotten the what the warranty is worth and the towing and roadside service for 7 years. So you're going to see this number that's circled here and circled there, and that's apples to apples.
So the other thing, yeah, so close you don't, So the other thing is this. Now you said that the Freightliner had an arrangement with Viking to have the truck all upfitted, and
Yeah, so that truck, I've been working with Dale, and that truck is really not the truck we want. It's a little bit too short. And one of the challenges with that is, with a short truck, the body is right up close to the back of the cab. And there's a lot of spots where these guys pull out and they have to look between the back of the cab and the body. So you've got to have the body set back.
okay.
So the price difference between ordering the right truck
Yeah.
and the truck that they have that really isn't right is, within $4,000.
Okay. So that's that.
So
we
that-
already answered that question.
Right,
then.
so that truck's not here. We looked at that price
I guess-
last meeting.
I guess my question is, instead of us buying the cab and chassis and bringing it to an upfitter, if they have it upfitted, was there any value in having them do the upfit?
So with Viking or with the Freightliner, we will have a slot with that truck that comes end of December-ish. And Viking will hold the price that they already gave us to upfit the other truck with that body that was used just a couple days. I think it was like almost a $10,000 savings. So Viking would be willing to hold that price and all that equipment to go on this truck that we order, if that's what we choose to do.
Okay.
Now with the International, we would have to schedule the upfitting with that one.
So they don't have any arrangements with an upfitter.
They don't have any slots right now. That's something that we'd have to go to work on right now.
Right.
With the Freightliner, there is a slot available for when that truck comes.
Okay.
So the difference, the Freightliner we could have before the first of the year. The International, we'd get that truck first quarter of next year. You know, we wouldn't have it for the winter. It'd be, you know, early spring at best.
Yeah.
But those are exactly the same trucks.
Exactly the same truck, set up the same way, same engines, or?
No, they do not have the same engines, but everything else is suspension, rear ends, gearing, transmission, length, pretty much apples to apples.
Does the International have a Cummins in it, or
Yes.
not a Max Force?
No, that's history.
Did you price out the 15 or the 13 on that?
13.
The 13. And the Freightliner's a 13 liter also?
So what they're doing
Similar.
now, with the Detroits is Freightliner's making the DD Freightliner and Western Star. They're making a DD13 and a DD16. So all the business class trucks like that Freightliner there, they only put the DD13s in, but they bump them up to 5 1/4, I think, horse. So.
Okay.
Which is plenty.
So we're close, but we are not quite ready, or?
Yeah, we've got a few more things to gather, and as soon as I get a few more details on this International, then
Yeah.
you know, I'll share it with you, and we can go from
So
there.
basically, you're gonna work with Dale and go through, and then ultimately, you're gonna come to the board with the truck that you and him feel that's gonna be the best.
And
the best.
I'll get timing on this International too. You know,
Excuse me?
I'll get timing on when this
Okay.
International will be ready. I mean, I'm certain that it won't be until, you know, March at best.
Okay.
And the Freightliner would be before the first of the year.
Okay, that would be important, so. All right, anybody have any questions? Okay. And everything else is good?
Yeah, yep.
Good. Anything from the assessors? Town clerk's memo is kind of a blend with Julie had a town clerk blurb in it. Julie, would you like to do your memo?
There's a hand raised.
Sorry,
Did you see that, Mike?
yeah, there's a hand up.
There's a hand up. Colin Stabile has
Oh, there's a hand up?
Yeah.
Oh. Go ahead, Colin. Excuse me, Julie. Colin, I just noticed your hand up.
You're muted.
You're muted.
All right, there we go. All right, I have a question for you about the road sign that's at the end of Towsley Hill Road at Route 30. I want to know why there is one that's hand painted and that has not been removed. And I also want to know the cost of what the new sign is and what it's going to cost for the town crew to put it in.
Okay, I know that the new sign has been ordered, and I don't know if it's come in yet, and our plan is to replace the sign that's there with the new sign, as we get time in between the construction projects that we're working on. And I don't know if Julie has the numbers yet, but we'll get the numbers and we'll send them to you for the cost of that new sign.
Okay, could you have the road crew go down there and remove the hand-painted sign because it's sort of a danger obstacle for people trying to turn into that road?
Right now, we're in the middle of a major project on Waite Hill Road, and we need to stay focused on that project.
Okay, thank you.
Julie?
Yeah, hi. I had left with you the financial management questionnaire that is due around the end of the fiscal year every year. I also sent it to you all by email. If you have specific questions on it, I don't think anything has really changed from last year. But you can also look through it and let me know later if you have specific questions. I did not leave you with end of year financial reports because there's some last year bills that are on this warrant, and so I need to update everything and get those to you at the next meeting. On that note, John Mudgett is coming next week to pick up some of the records to start the audit. 2 warrants this week. Payroll, $10,557.37. Accounts payable, $26,119.18. The accounting of that is general fund, $21,047.24. Highway, $14,961.52. Wastewater, $667.79. As an update to progress in my office, I've ordered the tax bill backers, which we usually get from one Vermont company. They have not been accepting phone calls or acknowledging emails for several weeks. So I found an alternative Vermont company who we also do business with purchasing checks, and they're very quick and lovely. And I ordered from them. However, they're in Waitsfield and I-89 is closed. So hoping that I'll get everything. I do have a backup plan that will take extra time and ink, and my printer is super slow. So I'm just really hoping that some of the towns impacted by this flooding will be all right in a few days and get us our stuff, and also just generally be all right. Let's see, next I have the Stokowski invoices in the red folder, and I am assuming that this is the trimmer we've been waiting on. Yes? Okay. I did code it as a last year expense, and I added it to the depreciation list to go through with the auditor. Are you guys all right with that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. And then putting on the debt hat, Mark McChesney called to let me know that in the Vermont State Liquor Control Portal, he has a pending Class 1 and Class 3 liquor license, as well as a commercial catering license. Usually all you guys, you don't have to sign anything, you just have to vote that you would approve those licenses, and then when Deb comes back, she can do all of the stuff online to accept it through the portal.
Okay, and as far as this financial management thing, we just need to sign it that says that we've all received it, and if anybody has any questions, they can reach out to you about it?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody good with signing this? It said that we received it?
Yeah. I
Okay,
read
I'll
through it.
just sign it and that'll be sufficient, you think? Or does that?
Yes, please. That's what you usually do, yep.
Okay. The next one is, do we have any questions for Julie's report? Motion for the warrants?
Frank has a question.
Yeah, you have to vote on the liquor license and stuff.
Yes, we're getting to that.
Okay.
Motion for the warrants?
I'll make a motion for warrant 24001 and warrant 24002.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Jessica? Motion for the warrant, are you in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Approved. And now, Mark McChesney's liquor license, it is a Class 1 and a Class 3, as well as a commercial catering license. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to support that or approve that.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jessica?
Aye.
Yes. Thank you. Approved. Okay, so there's all the treasurer stuff. Emergency Management Director, did Bob have anything for tonight?
Yes. The first meeting of the Hazard Mitigation Plan Update HMP group met on June 26th at 6 p.m. at the Town Hall. The attendees were Bob Morlino, Jessica Van Ort, John Weiss, Dave Ricard, Dale Decker, Jay Lupke, Leon Corey, Tom Covino, and Paul Luciano. Meeting participants were updated on the next steps needed to complete the HMP for the town. A survey will be distributed to the townspeople for their input. The project is expected to be completed sometime by the end of the third quarter. R. Morlino attended the Rutland Emergency Management Committee meeting on June 28th. FEMA has asked for additional information regarding completed culvert grants. With the help of Julie Mach, we were able to find nearly all of the information requested and forwarded to Vermont Emergency Management. R. Morlino attended the FBI Working Group meeting on June 26th, and R. Morlino completed a 10-hour FEMA shelter field guide training for state and local communities from June 12th to the 13th. And that's
Any
all.
questions? Okay, thank you, Beth.
I'm muted.
Somebody have a question?
Nancy, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I have Bob here. I was just waiting to see if he had any comments.
The only comment I had is on this recent flood. Thank God Pawlet was not really impacted. It came pretty close with the Flower Brook almost coming over its banks, but it stayed in check. But we've had no issues here in town from the recent flooding.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bob. Health Officer, Jennifer?
I don't have anything, any recent activity. I did hear back from the state about our camper situation. He has not involved the Department of Environmental Conservation attorneys, but he is, they are aware of it, and he is keeping in touch with them. Everybody is waiting for the pending eviction/sale. And I don't imagine anything's happening with that until the next hearing later this month. Nancy, have you heard anything?
No, I haven't heard anything.
Okay. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you very much. Facilities report.
Wastewater treatment.
Oh, wastewater treatment. I have heard nothing from Jill.
Nor have I.
Everything is,
That's good.
seems to be going all right, so,
All news is good news.
yeah, no news is good news. She was just curious about water issues down here, but we weren't having none, but some of the places, I guess by her house in Bristol, they were flooded pretty hard, and one of the places that she does the drinking water for was real close to going into all the drinking water wells, but I don't know how that worked out. Facilities report. So, I can say that the air conditioning unit was installed, and when he installed it and did his pressure test, he found that the coil that was existing in the upstairs air conditioning had a hole in it. And it was 5 weeks out to get a new one. So he attempted to solder it and was successful with a can of stop leak, basically. He says, I got it running, but I do need you to make sure that someday, a few days prior to the event, that we come over and make sure it's still functioning properly, because he may need to just top it off.
Okay.
So
I was up there tonight and it's cool up there.
it's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Because Matt has been here and the lights are all installed.
okay.
And I've met to see him, but he was in and out of here and I didn't see him, and I didn't get with him on the elevator light, but that's something I can get to him
And
with.
being here local, I'm sure he can pop in.
Yeah,
No big
yeah,
deal.
that's not gonna be a big deal.
So, I can't even, I'm not even 100% sure right now if Jake gave me I think he did give me a quote for the new.
There was.
Did I send you a quote for the new? I don't even remember what
I
it
think
said.
it was,
25.
it was 25.
Okay,
25.
so 2,500 for the new coil to go in here.
Yeah.
So I don't know, if we can get through this, we can kind of figure out how it fits into our budget and stuff and go from there. He did service the other 2 units and put a water outlet in so we can keep them washed and stuff.
and the lights were installed and they look really great. And then there was one email that came through. Sarah Ludlam, who is a part of the Historical Society, wondered if she could have permission to go up and utilize the town hall to help with setup. And she wondered if there was any pre-requested uses for the auditorium between now and the 26th, and the event is the 22nd.
Yeah.
So I looked at the Google Calendar and I didn't see anything on there, but I did reach out to Sean Ruck I reached out to Sean to see if there was anything that he knew of. And then she inquired about getting in to this space, and John Weiss is her husband and he has keys.
Right.
Since he's the chief of the fire department, so.
There's no pre-requested usage of it, so I would say that they can go whenever they want. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Jessica, do you know of anybody that had any pre-requested? Is there any reason that you can think of why they can't start early?
Well, I think it should be fine as far as I know, because it's coming in.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me a minute.
What's the smoking policy in here?
No smoking.
No shot.
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Why? Here you go.
So who's ready to go up to the Irish River and look for golf ball size of gold nuggets after this storm?
Anything else on the facilities? Harley, do you have anything from the
The
library?
library's humming along, and we found out that we can be a place to go if there's a heat emergency, because it's air conditioned, and we can be that place. It doesn't take anything special. That's something the director had a conversation with Bob Merlino about. So that would be during the library open hours for sure, and the library could be opened in case of a heat emergency and people needing to shelter where it's cooler during the day.
Okay.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob Morlino. Hi, Harley. I had spoken to the librarian as part of emergency management. We have always told people if there's a heat emergency that they could go to the library. Of course, the library is not open on Sunday and Monday. So my request was, and they were going to invite me to the board meeting, but I haven't gotten an invitation yet. But what I wanted to explain to the board is that I'd like to be able to open up the library on Sunday, well, in other words, 7 days a week during the day if we had a heat emergency. So that was my request.
Thank you, Bob. I will make sure that you have contact information for 4 people that have keys to the library to accommodate any time, including the other days where we don't open till 11 for that situation. So my action is to send you that contact information for people with keys to the library.
Great, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anything else for facilities reports? Mettawee School, we read that last week. Village Pedestrian Accessibility Project. Jessica, do you have anything to add? Are you in a place where you can add?
Yes, I have a report on the pedestrian accessibility project and the request for the board. So I met with the rest of the team, and what we do now is board to decide how we're going to procure the firm to design the sidewalk and crosswalk. We have two options. I'll tell you what they are, and I'll give my recommendation. The first option, number one, is a standard option, which would be that you would put out a request for qualification to various firms, and they would contact us. We would go through those qualifications, and we would decide which firm that we wanted to go with. We would send them a request for proposal for this project. That's number one. Number two is what the Sam calls their academic. In this one, the Sam has already run through qualifications for 6 qualified firms. And we would go through those firms, and we would pick our top 3, and then we would send the request for proposal to the top one, those top 3. And if that worked out with them, we would go with them, and if not, we would go on down our list to the top 3. The benefit of that second one at the moment is that you don't need to send out the request for qualifications and then do a request for proposal, because all the 6 firms is already qualified. Something we'll continue with our iteration this project is on that list of 6 as our 5 other firms. I'll give you 2 options. I suggest that you go with the option number 2 at the moment. This is because I think it's faster and we do less work for the town and for the constituency. I will answer any questions if people have about these 2 options. I'm hoping that we can have this select board decision. And I'm looking at 2 options we would like to go with, so that essentially board, the OTES is writing up the request for proposal and to get that out.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about Jessica's options?
Right now? Yep. Yeah. Mary.
If I'm not hearing any questions, I would like to make a motion then that we go with option number 2 at the next.
Okay, so Jessica made the motion that we go with option 2. Anybody want to second that motion? Bob seconded that motion. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Jessica. Oh, do you, I didn't ask you if you voted. Are you in favor of that also?
I vote aye, yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion carried. Anything else under old or unfinished business? Jessica?
I still have one more thing, Mike, if I may, under old business.
Okay.
This relates to the Mach program, the Municipal Energy Resilience Program. This is the one that we put in a preliminary application for earlier this year, having to do with the upgrades to town buildings for weatherization and energy efficiency. We had, at that time, put in a request for number 1, the library, and number 2, town hall, as our buildings that we would like to get grant is not gonna have any cost, which would be great. At this time, the official, the next step in this, after us putting our interest, would be for us to apply for what's known as an energy resilience assessment. And this would be a walkthrough assessment that would be free to us. And the state will send someone out who would walk through our buildings and would have a look at them and would basically suggest for what we should be doing for them regarding legislation and transportation. So what I'm hoping is to get the go-ahead to fill out that application. What I wanted to double check is, first, if we're still interested in the library as building number 1 getting the energy efficiency upgrade at the town hall as building number 2. And second, I wanted to make sure that we're okay to go ahead with just a level 1 assessment. So there are 2 kinds of assessments that the state will do for us. Both are free. The level 1 is just a walk-through assessment. And that would qualify us for this grant of up to $500,000. The level 2 assessment would involve a full door blower test and would be a bit more comprehensive. It would also require us to come up with a bunch of documentation about the building. And this might be a little difficult for us. Also, the only thing that we would need to get this level 2 assessment would be if we wanted to apply for loans in addition to this grant. And I didn't think that at this time the town was really interested in applying for loans to upgrade our building, that we were more interested in the grant. So I would assume we probably going to go ahead with the level 1 assessment, but I wanted to make sure that that was how the rest of the grant works out as well. So that's what I'm asking for is, should I go ahead and fill out the application for the energy assessment for the library and the town hall, and should we go ahead and do the level 1 assessment?
Frank?
We're having trouble hearing you a little bit, Jessica, so I'll clarify. 1 is the preferred one because it's straight grant, a free thing. 2 is what you would have to do to qualify for a loan process if the project were to run over to grant allowability and more money would be needed that would qualify, and you'd have to have that more advanced study done. But Jessica seems to think, and is that maybe all we need to do is have level 1 at this point in time. Correct, Jessica?
And we want
Yes, that's what I...
Any other questions?
in the library first and the town hall second. Everybody good with that? Okay. We need a motion probably to go ahead with the level 1 is the one you feel is the best option for us, Jessica?
Yes, I think that one would be fine for us, and we wouldn't have to get together a lot of additional documents.
Okay. So somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion for that.
Rich is making a motion. Do you have all the right wording?
So this motion is to allow or support Jessica in moving forward with filling out the application, identifying the library as the primary building and the town hall as the secondary building, and to go through with the level 1 evaluation.
Yep.
Okay. Have a second? Go ahead, Jessica. Have a second?
Yeah, that sounds great.
She said that sounds right.
Okay. And Bob seconded that motion. All in favor? Jessica?
Yeah.
You in favor? Everyone else?
Aye.
Jerry? Yeah, all in favor, please proceed with the level 1 library town hall. Thank you. Do you have anything else to add tonight, Jessica?
No, that's it. I'll go ahead and fill out those applications.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, is there any new business tonight? Any public comment? Marty?
Yeah, I'd like to start off by complimenting the board for carrying on through what just went on but it leads right into why I'm here. There has been this woman, Ruth Byrne, running through the town for 3 months or more. I'm not even sure how long. Since February. Since February. She has personally made a death threat against me. Right here on the steps of Town Hall. I don't even know her. That was last Thursday. The following day, when I was talking to Larry Leslie in his driveway, and I was parked in my car, she suddenly showed up, and she said to Larry, "Your dogs are harassing my dog, I'm gonna kill them." She used an F word in all cases. But I'll delete that for the public hearing. Gibby has called the state police. I know the state police have been up here. She disappeared for a few days. She reappeared. And then finally, on Thursday, the state police told Gibby that he would have to call Rutland Mental Health, which he did, and he recommended that I also do it, and I called Rutland Mental Health. Now, Matt Levitra, who does work for me, he came home one day and found her sitting on his front lawn, and he had 5 small children in the house. This can't go on. I've heard that there are no mechanisms for locking her up, but pardon the pun, but that's insanity. I mean, you can't have someone just wandering through the town, making death threats, and after she threatened to kill Larry Leslie's dog, there was a man in a black car who had driven her there. I don't know who he was, and Larry said, "Who is that?" And she said, "Oh, that's my husband." And Larry said, "Well, don't you think you should go home with your husband? He's waiting for you." She climbed into the car. The sunroof was opened. She went through the sunroof, sat on the roof of the car with her legs dangling inside, and the two of them drove down into town. And 20 minutes later, when I drove into town, they were going back and forth through town with her sitting on the roof of the car, which I think is a traffic violation at the very least. But this is a public safety matter. I have heard other people say that they had death threats from her. And personally, I take it seriously. If someone says they intend to kill me, even if they're totally nuts and they don't know me, I'm going to take it seriously. And something has to be done about this woman. And I think, her coming in here tonight is a good example, maybe a little bit subdued for her, compared to some of the other things she's done. I was in the library, I think Friday, talking to the librarian. She said she was worried that this woman might come back into the library because she's alone there. People are basically, they're living in fear.
Let me see what the constables, can you just give us some input on this, please?
Well, town's been to her residence multiple times. We cited her, we've arrested her. The thing in the state of Vermont, because we are level 2 and a constable combined to our town, we can arrest people, but we cannot get their criminal record. We cannot order them, and the court will not see the criminal action without that criminal record.
It's called an ORI number. Each town is assigned one. Pawlet doesn't have one because of the budget that they spend on the constables. So in order to alleviate that, you have to go through the process of applying for it. That allows us to get what they call 29 information, which is a criminal background. We can't prosecute any cases against her. They've turned down their arrested 4 times. They've kicked them back to me because I can't get her criminal background because the town doesn't have the ORI number. You'd have to make it a full-time position or something like that, or up to.
We don't spend enough money in
Right.
town for law enforcement to receive an ORI.
Right. Once you get the ORI, you can have access to someone's criminal background history, and you turn that into the packet to the state's attorney, then they prosecute the case. Right now, I can't turn in my criminal background on her, because I have access up at Fairhaven because I work there, so does Dave, but each municipality can't lend their ORI out, their information out to another town. So they'll lose their access if I gain access from them and use it to prosecute my cases. That jeopardizes their ability to prosecute their own cases. So
Can you get that information from the state police?
they won't give it to us either. I've already tried that.
No, the only thing that we're privy to are 27 and 28, which is your driver's license and registration, and your Vermont criminal history.
I did.
All we get. Anything nationwide, we cannot get. Now, I've had 3 DUIs in this town. I've called and I've ordered the 29C and had it sent directly to the state's attorney, but they won't even accept that.
So I have forwarded an email to Deb, Clerk, the process that we would have to take to gain that ORI. If that's something you guys want to entertain. That's where we're at with it.
Do you have that email or not? Can you send that email to Kristen so that she can distribute it through us, to the board members, so that we can review it and discuss it deeper and try and figure out what the best option is that we can move forward. Eric?
Now, is there anything that happened that falls under the red flag law because of the gun incident?
Nothing was reported
That-
on this. The troopers handled that, I'm pretty sure, and they did find a weapon. So I think you told me they removed it or something. It's one of your.
Yeah, she had a mutual friend that was there several weeks ago helping her to move out, and she showed him her gun. It's a Smith & Wesson 9mm, and she said, "It's crazy, this thing doesn't seem to have a safety." So she handed it to him, and he looked and he said, "No, it doesn't." But he said, "Why don't I take the 9 rounds out of the gun?" And so he emptied it and put them aside. It's anecdotal, but I believe that someone else did remove the gun from the premises. It wasn't me, but anecdotally, the same mutual friend that she showed the gun was next door, and it appeared that the gun was removed from the premises. And
He also found 9mm shell casings in the garage on the floor.
one casing on the floor of the garage.
Wow, because it was my understanding that that one night that there was shots fired there. And heard by somebody that I know pretty well.
Yeah, usually
So.
the troopers call on something like that. And we certainly are certified to do that, but we can't.
And I think that's the night that she was arrested.
It was.
So, but
So she can see this, correct?
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah.
So she knows our hands are tied at this moment.
Mike, don't you think maybe, given this situation, maybe it's time to start thinking about a full-time policeman in this town? I know it's a big budget, I get it, but, failure to act and she does something is going to result in lawsuits, which are going to be expensive. aside from the fact that someone might get killed or seriously injured. But she cannot keep doing this. This woman, I feel bad for her, but she's really got to be put into an institution.
All right. I have been threatened. Just now, she tried to trip me when I'm just trying to remove myself from the situation. If I understand correctly, our safety is at risk, and there's nothing that law enforcement can do about our personal safety?
We can remove her from the situation like we did tonight,
Yes, sir.
okay?
Yep.
But what she did in here tonight isn't, it's not a criminal act. You can't arrest her on that.
Yeah, I understand that.
You can be
But the
fat, crap,
threat,
crazy, stand out there in the middle of the road, jump up and down, scream all you want. And there's nothing that we can do about it until you impede traffic, then we can come and remove you.
She has been impeding traffic. She has been standing in the middle.
It's a matter of being on duty or being on shift at the time, and both Dave and I are on, your budget's pretty small for constables.
but there's the state police level or sheriff level is state police level or sheriff level
You might
is
not
not.
forget about the sheriff.
You're running the same problem you're running with the Dana Bond. They're not gonna get involved because you don't have a contract with the sheriff's department.
I have heard that.
And right now, you're looking at 50-minute response time from the state police.
Depending on where they are.
I appreciate the call back when I called 911, but I'm a little surprised that death, the threat of death, although you might, a reasonable person may dismiss it, it's still a bit, because you don't know where it's going to go to, because it wasn't based on logic in the first place.
I don't think.
I mean, you can charge her criminally, but we can't. We can charge her criminally for making a threat by wire. But it's not gonna go anywhere
As
because
soon
we
as it
can't
reaches
get
the
her.
state's attorney's office, they shut us down because we don't have that criminal background information. So
It would have to be the VSP is your
So I guess
primary.
my question is, how long would it take for that process to,
I can look into it, yeah. Right now,
for us to be on the list of that?
Chief
That comes-
Humphreys is
How much?
pursuing the options for us right now.
That comes from the FBI, you get your ORI from.
So the chief has reached out to VCIC, which is the Bureau in Vermont that stores all criminal information, and they're trying to find a solution to get us that ability. He hasn't got back to me. I emailed on Friday. He said he's waiting for a response from the chief on the wrong side. So.
Yes.
Is the town hall or the select board entitled to place a no trespass against certain individuals if there's, for your safety or for the safety of the people that work in this building?
That's a pretty slippery slope. Because this is a public meeting.
Right, and the only way we were able to remove her is because she was creating a disturbance, so I didn't feel I could functionally run the meeting.
She refused, she certainly could have been charged with disorderly conduct and removed, but now the state of Vermont has it to where you just cite that. You give them a piece of paper and say, show up at court on this date, you're free to go.
Julie has a hand raised. Julie has a hand. This is a public building for the members of the community, so. But Julie has a hand raised.
Julie?
I just know that there has been some information about something similar happening in another town in Vermont, and I think that individuals can get a, restraining order, like Deb or myself could get a restraining order that could keep her from coming into the building without having an appointment, but it wouldn't keep her out of a public meeting like this, because the open meeting law requires that members of the public can attend. It would just protect the individual person.
Thank you. So I guess we'll get some more information from you guys and we'll see how we can work through this situation to remedy it.
Well, at least empower us, to do do something about it. Because a restraining order doesn't stop her from violating that restraining order. And even if she violates it, we arrest her, cite her, she's not going to get prosecuted for it anyway. Because as soon as it leaves our hands, we turn the packet over to the state's attorney. If the criminal information isn't in there, they're just going to discard it.
Where is she living now?
She's still down there.
She's our
So, she didn't have the court date today?
She did have a court date with the state police. They cited her for one case. I don't know if she showed there for that or not. But the 3 sites that we cited her for, they haven't prosecuted her for it. The state's attorney sent me an email a couple days ago, still requesting that information, and I told him I can't get it because we don't have it.
Yeah.
Take your dog out of here.
Julie, do you still have a question, or is your hand still?
Yeah, I have a second question. I assume the constables have both left the room, but what my question was it seems like the state police have an ORM, obviously, so would the constables potentially be able to respond to a call and do essentially nothing but like quarantine/contain her to an area until the state police came, and then all of the evidence and criminal accountability would then be held by the state police?
Okay, so I'll just kind of briefly go over that comment to step out. She's wondering if there was an incident that you came, responded, and we called the state police. Could you like kind of control the incident until the state police arrived,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
then it could go to the next level?
Him and I are both certified law enforcement officers in the state of Vermont. It's where the hitch is when it comes to prosecuting. We can take any action necessary to maintain safety, control situations.
What you're saying is
If the state police maintained control of the call after you had just simply detained her, would then the evidence be able to go through their ORM?
Yeah, ORI, yes, but
Or-
what we're running into, Jade and I responded to a suicide attempt over on the Switch Road 3 weeks ago, and state police refused to come. It was their call.
It's an MSU-related incident, mental health issue.
So we responded. I disarmed the person from he had his knife. Disarmed him. Dave made sure it was safe for the EMS to come in because they won't treat him unless the scene is secure. So, that's what we're running into. The troopers don't want to come out here. Unfortunately, it's a 50-minute ride for them at least, and most of the time there's only 3 of them on, and they're spread out in Rutland County.
I looked through the responsibilities of the select board today. There was nothing specific in there regarding what you have to do in a case like this. But at a higher level, the Constitution starts with provide for the common defense and promote the general welfare. And everybody who works at any level of government is, I assume, sworn to uphold the Constitution. And I know that this is really getting up in the clouds, but we still have this woman. And you raise the issue of Banyai, and I've seen the headline in last week's Manchester Journal, and then the Rutland Herald, and the sheriff doesn't want to come down and arrest him. And I'm thinking to myself, how long has this been going on? 5 years or more? And Daniel Banyai has never threatened me. He has never threatened to kill me, and I don't know if he's ever threatened to kill anybody else. But here we've got a certified person walking the streets, and we can't do anything about it. But at the same time, the Banyai case just winds its way through court, racking up legal fees. And I have to tell you, I don't have any feelings.
These are two totally separate incidents. They're very far apart. You're trying to weave something together.
No.
They're very far apart.
So each person gets 2 minutes during public comment, and this has gone on for quite a long time. So I think that it's time that we
During the meeting.
I gotta go with mine.
Frank?
Bob can report that he bid on a building over in West Pawlet, the Gray Chalet. And so it's probably a 30-year wait now before you get, and so that's a process. It's another process that is in there in the so we'll see what happens with that. So that tax sale went that way.
Okay. Harley, did you have something for the good of?
The library was mentioned. I had talked to the library director who said that Ruth has been in the library and no trouble. I call her the Ruth Whisperer. But now I hear secondhand that she's the same. Today, at a meeting at the library, one of the attendees asked me to lock the front door. For their comfort, I did. Ruth did show up and tried to come in, and I said, and this isn't true, I said the library's closed. And she tried to grab the door, but I closed it. But now I am concerned about the library being opened, and I'm reacting in real time, so this isn't maybe well thought out. But yeah, Lindsay's there by herself, or Adele, frequently. And I'm not sure if the right response wouldn't be to have it locked and ring the doorbell, I guess. That would at least keep it open.
I guess that's something the library has to decide.
Okay.
Because we don't really run.
Yes,
but that's something you can discuss at a library meeting.
Probably, I told Lindsay that she could call me. Adele did this 2 years ago when there was someone wandering through the library, and that worried her, and I was down in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I am roughly 60 seconds from the front door, so Lindsay can call me, and I'll probably be the fastest one down.
That's something that the library has to review and come up with their own policy for such a situation. Anything else? To have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming. Have a good evening.